What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Let's go ahead and reveal this week's top 25, my AG poll for week 14. Now, I recently did a video where there's about 28 teams that realistically are still alive for the college football playoff. They're not all on this list. Some of the teams on this list aren't necessarily available for the college football playoff or going to make it. But let's go ahead and get into this week's top 25. Number 25, Army. They have done what they need to do all year. They kind of got manhandled by Notre Dame this week, but Notre Dame's a good football team. But Army still has a chance to win the American, beat Tulane in that championship. We'll see what happens. Number 24, Tulane. So again, they'll play Army in the AAC championship. They have losses to Kansas State and Oklahoma, not the worst losses in the world. Number 23, BYU. They're trending down. As of right now, don't control their own destiny in the Big 12. With the way it played out, the two teams that are above them that we're about to talk about actually controlled their destiny. BYU needs one of those teams to lose to make the Big 12 championship. Number 22, Arizona State. Coming off a win over BYU, madness at the end, chaos with about a second left. Crowd stormed the field, had to clear everybody out, give a second left on the clock. But as right now, Arizona State, if they win this week, they're in the Big 12 championship against number 21, Iowa State, which again, if they win this week as well, they're in the Big 12 championship, which means both these teams will be playing for a chance to go to the college football playoff and get probably spanked by Ohio State or somebody like that, or Oregon in the first round of the college football playoff. We'll see what happens. Number 20, Illinois. Big Ten, Illinois is completely out probably of the college football playoff race, but they have 3 losses. Not a terrible resume. Illinois comes in number 20, pretty solid season for them and Brett Bielema. Number 19, Missouri, same situation. And the next team we're about to talk about as well. No chance to college football playoff, but Missouri, what they have done this year, they've kind of got manhandled by the good teams, but they've done what they need to do as far as beating the bad teams to only have 3 losses up to this point. LSU, they've got 4 losses, but most of those losses are to pretty solid teams, minus the Florida one. But Florida's definitely trending up. But LSU, it's getting a little iffy over there for Brian Kelly. We'll see what ends up playing out over the offseason. Will Brian Kelly go to another job? We'll see what happens at LSU. Number 17, Boise State. Right now, they're in the driver's seat to get that auto bid for the G5 in the college football playoff. Definitely in good shape. The reason I've got them at 17 and not higher is because they've been a little shaky lately. Haven't really done anything. Their best so-called win is a loss to Oregon. That's their resume booster. So again, they haven't beaten anybody, but a close loss to the number 1 team in the country. That's not bad. Number 16, Texas A&M. They drop one this week. They were looking forward to Texas, so it seems, even though their coach claimed they weren't, even though he said Texas. So A&M, they do control their own destiny here. If they win this week, beat Texas, they'll go to the SEC championship, play Georgia. If they win those next 2 games, they're in. Number 15, Louisville. So if they would not have dropped that game to Stanford, they'd have a pretty good argument at kind of sneaking in the college football playoff. So let's exclude that close loss to Stanford. The rest of their resume includes as follows. Okay, so they've got a 7-point loss to Notre Dame, single-digit loss to Miami, single-digit loss to SMU, and then a win over Clemson. That's a pretty good resume. As right now, let's say they hadn't lost that one, Louisville would probably be sitting at like number 10 or something, and probably have a good argument for making the college football playoff. But they dropped that one to Stanford, and that kind of eliminates them from the playoff. Number 14, let's go ahead and talk about all those teams, actually. Number 14, Ole Miss, 13, Alabama, 12, South Carolina, all in a similar situation here. All have 3 losses in the SEC. All are out of the running for the SEC championship. But if somebody's going to sneak into the college football playoff, it's going to be 11 through 14, one of those teams that could end up jumping the loser of SMU and Miami. Alabama, disappointing loss this week to Oklahoma, a bad Oklahoma team actually as well, and kind of got handled pretty good. I mean, that wasn't a very close game. Alabama really screwed up there as far as their college football playoff chances. Ole Miss, same thing. They lost to Florida. They've got that big win over Georgia where they kind of dominated, but then they go and lose this one. Now, South Carolina, I think they actually have the best chance out of these 3 teams to make the playoff. Reason being, they play Clemson this week. If they win that game, I think that's almost a play-in game for the winner of that game. Now, the real question is, can the winner of that game, number 12 and number 11, South Carolina and Clemson, can the winner of that game jump the loser of the ACC championship in Miami and SMU? I don't know if it can happen, but that is their best chance to get in, is some type of chaos to happen like that. Now, we'll see what happens as far as what else, because that's not really any chaos that's expected to happen. But chaos-wise, let's say Miami loses to Syracuse this week, then Clemson's going to the ACC championship no matter what happens this week. And so they could end up getting in that way. But we'll see what happens. I think South Carolina's in good shape here because the one thing going for them is we're not going off a computer here. The one game they've lost multiple games, but one of the games they lost to LSU, their quarterback got hurt. So that definitely impacted them a little bit there. But South Carolina and Clemson, kind of some dark horses to watch here that could sneak into the playoff. Number 10, Indiana. As long as they win this week, they're in. Now, they didn't quite get the win over Ohio State. Wasn't quite a blowout. Wasn't quite close either. Was kind of in the middle there. But Indiana, I think they're in good shape college football playoff-wise. Number 9, Tennessee. Tennessee, as long as they win this week versus Vanderbilt, they are in. I think they could probably get in even with a loss, but Tennessee is in. Number 8, SMU, and number 7, Miami. So right now, SMU has clinched a spot in the ACC championship. Miami still needs to beat Syracuse. Now, originally, I thought both these teams could get into the college football playoff, but it's looking less and less likely. The reason being is BYU keeps on dropping, making that SMU loss. It's still a good loss, top 25 loss, but it's not a Big 12 championship loss like it was going to look like, where BYU had the potential to go undefeated. Now, I think the ACC still can get 2 teams in, but I think it's going to be Clemson and one of these teams instead of the loser. Now, that's going to be the real question is, do you get punished for losing the championship? And that's been like a talking point. We saw Lane Kiffin say that. He had heard that some guys don't want to go to the championship in case it's going to really alter their resume if it gives them one more loss than another team. So we'll see what happens. Number 6, Georgia. I think Georgia could win the SEC. As right now, they're locked in the championship. But I think they're in the playoff, even if they do have 3 losses. Number 5, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is in the playoff as well. Even if they lose to USC this week, they're in. Number 4, Penn State, similar situation. They're in. They have 1 loss, but they're in the playoff no matter what happens this week. Texas, same thing. Now, Texas, if they win this week, they'll get a chance at Georgia in the SEC championship. But even if they lose, I think they're in the college football playoff. I think the 4 teams that are locked right now are Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon. Penn State most likely is in with a loss, but I wouldn't say quite a lock. Same thing with Georgia. But Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon in the top 3 have looked good so far this year. Texas hasn't beat as many good teams as Ohio State, and then Oregon has that win over Ohio State. But Ohio State has quality wins over Penn State, over Indiana. So even if they lose this week to Michigan, they're in. But this is my current top 25. We'll see what changes over the week. Who are your college football playoff teams currently? Let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.